You hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good, good. Thanks for taking the time, by the way.
No problem. My pleasure.
It's been a couple of months since I last saw you now.
Ah, where
So
did you see us?
come and get on.
Yeah. That was a fun
Yeah,
trip.
it's always fun
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
festival. So,
yeah. It was first for me.
oh, it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Hope you come again then sometime. That would be awesome. So now
Yeah,
you're home in Finland.
yeah. I'm home. Uh, we are kind of in the uh,
You're in active tour now, aren't you?
tall.
Yeah, or gigs. Or...
Yeah. We are preparing for a tour next month, and but we are at the studio at the current moment, doing the next album. My part is probably done already, but Aap, our keyboard player, he's playing today at the studio. So looking
Yeah,
forward to what they can cook up.
yeah, of course, of course. I just have 10 questions for you. So I'm just getting started about the originals of Marianas Rest, and you have such a distinctive sound in the melodic death doom metal scene. How did the band come together, and what was the vision when you started?
Well, we the kind of it was it didn't start like a kind of like we professional kind of band. It was just a couple of guys wanting to make the kind of music they would like to listen to themselves and getting drunk while doing it. So that was kind of the origin, and bit by bit we kind of started to better ourselves and decided that we want to kind of start recording stuff early. A lot of bands, young bands, do kind of spend years in the training grounds, and then kind of the how do you say it becomes harder and harder to kind of release something. So we wanted to kind of cut the everything, the crap in between, and just go straight to the recording thing and see how it turns out. If it wouldn't kind of be good enough, then we could kind of like just split and have it over and done with. But it kind of clicked straight away, and we figured out what this band was about eventually, bit by bit. Not at the beginning. We were kind of in between melodic death metal and heavier doom death, and didn't know what was our own voice. But eventually, by trial and error, we figured out what we were good at and what we definitely should not do, and that's kind of how we got into this the place where we are now. Kind of try to become better at our stuff and know our kind of the strengths and weaknesses. And of course, well, we are doing our fifth album now. You want to kind of do something, small things new every time, and that's what we are kind of. The next album it will have some new elements as well, just to keep it interesting for ourselves.
Yeah, like you said, your sound blends haunting atmospheres with I don't know, raw heaviness? And how has your approach to combining, like you said, melodic and doom metal and this brutality? And how does this sound evolve since the first album and more changes in every album, like you said? And but are there any specific evolvement?
Yeah, well, the one thing we learned that we are pretty good at is building kind of atmosphere and using different kind of landscapes to do sort of, I don't know if movie soundtrack, it's not the right word, but you know what I'm getting at. Kind of
Like
like
the theatrical sounds and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I think that was the kind of one of the big uh, kind of reveal we had about the band. This is one thing we should do because it sounds good, and it connects with the music and the mood we have when doing it. And but yeah, it isn't always easy to kind of balance between the kind of melancholic mood and then there are kind of more heavier parts, more aggressive parts. It kind of they can kind of go against each other sometimes. So you have to balance it out and try to find the right path to tell the stories that you want to tell. And yeah, well, maybe we'll look at it like it. Every album is kind of a theater kind of piece. You have to have the right kind of drama. It can't start straight at the top. The album should kind of build itself up, and each song on the record as well. So yeah, but that's kind of we just try to we are not that interested in technical perfection, because a lot of the interesting things come from imperfections, and small kind of imperfection can raise the mood, you know, the feel of the album. So that's what we're if those two, technicality and feel, kind of don't they fight each other, then we always pick the feel. That's why there are. It's not because we are bad players, or I'm a bad singer. No. We do it on purpose.
Yeah.
That's what we at least want people to believe. Of course,
Yeah.
it's because we are shit.
Yeah. Many of your tracks, like you said, seems to explore darker and introspective themes. What are some of the main influences you had, both musical and non-musical, that have shaped your lyrics and sound?
Well, the lyrics mostly come from real life. It's hard to kind of. I don't have an idol that way that I look up to or try to mimic. I just write whatever's kind of what's inside. I'm not good at writing completely kind of made up stories. A lot of metal is about that, and that's a good thing if you can do it, if you know how to do it. But that's kind of not my best quality. So I just try to kind of channel all the bullshit that kind of stores up inside. But the kind of the way the story of the album starts to build is not like I'm just kind of telling what the songs are about. We discuss them a lot with all of the guys and decide the theme and the story of the album before we start to write songs, or before I start to write lyrics on the songs. So it's kind of, it narrows it down, and then the whole thing feels a lot more personal to each of us. We know what we are doing, and the guys writing the musical part are in. No, we are not going kind of like doing different things. We know how this song should feel like, and what the lyrics are going to be, even though the lyrics are not ready. So the guys kind of know how to find the right mood for example, guitar lead or keyboards or whatever.
Who has been your musical influences?
Well, enjoy a lot of different kinds of. I'm not all about metal. I like to listen a lot different type of stuff. But if you kind of the big bands for me, Sentenced is a big influence for me. I think well, yeah, lyrically I've always that's kind of the one band I've really enjoyed going through their lyrics and kind of the really dark world that's in there, but still it can be funny. It can be really There can be romantic stuff in there. There can be whatever, all kinds of kind of like stuff is going on in there, and but still it's kind of covered in this melancholic wrapping, and it has a totally unique quality to it. So that's definitely one. Yeah, maybe that's the band I want to kind of mention usually. Yeah, but of course, kind of Paradise Lost is a big thing. Well, I like a lot of more brutal death metal stuff. Well, Death is one of the bands that really kind of is a big deal to me. Of course, you start with Iron Maiden, Metallica, Alice Cooper, that sort of stuff. So those bands will always have a place in my heart.
Yeah. Yeah, Finland has a rich metal scene. How has being part of it influenced Marianas Rest, and what makes the Finnish metal scene unique in your eyes?
I think it's the unique part. Well, I don't know, maybe we have sort of this Slavic sadness to everything that goes around in here. So maybe that's one part of the what separates us from, say, metal done in Sweden or Norway. I'm not sure. Of course, that varies from band to band, but that might be one thing. And of course, it's a whole lot different doing metal in here or in Nordic countries than, say, well, almost everywhere else in the world, because there are a lot of great world-class bands in here. We grew up in a small city, Kotka, 50,000-60,000 people, a bit more, but still small town near the coast, and we have a lot of kind of bands known in Europe and in the whole world. So you always have had bands kind of bigger than you and who've done everything that you would want to do sometime in the future near you. You can kind of try to check out how they do things and repeat it basically. So it's kind of easier to have, and of course you have sound engineers that have toured around the world, and managers and light technicians and kind of the infrastructure. It's easier to build it if you have people who've been around and know the business. So yeah, it helps a lot to grow up in that sort of culture. And when I was I'm over 40 now, but when starting metal bands when I was 20 or something, we had a huge metal boom in Finland. It lasted for years, and metal is still big in Finland, but it was something different back then. You could have like top 10 bands album charts. You could have over 5 of them metal, and that was the point when Finnish metal started to kind of be big elsewhere than Finland also. Sweden and Norway, you done it before. We came a bit later, but yeah, it was kind of great atmosphere to kind of start your first bands, and you could have gig, and it was easy to arrange gigs. You just exchange them. There was always some place to play, and it was a lot of fun. It's kind of, yeah, I miss it. You don't have it nowadays. It's not for young bands. It's not easy to start. You don't have places to play, and it's a lot more. It takes a lot more money to start the whole thing, and those were the days.
a little bit about the Fata Morgana album, your latest, by the way. It delves deep into the melancholy and the human experience. Can you share the creative process behind it and the emotional journey it represents?
Well, Fata Morgana, that was the kind of the first album. It was the first album we did with Napalm, and it was kind of course a different situation for us because well it's a we should have had more pressure doing it, but we actually didn't feel it when making it. The story it's about kind of solitude and trying to find your place in the world by exploring who you are, and by kind of the dude in the story, he kind of goes away to try to solve his many problems, and it was, well, it wasn't funny back then, but strange coincidence that the lyrics were done before the whole COVID pandemic, and then just before the release of the album, the pandemic started, and it kind of had a whole new level to it, the lyrics, because everybody was kind of stranded in their own homes, and a lot of people can't take it that well. Well, I was one of those guys that had no problem. It was in many ways easier for me, but yeah, I understand people who need the social contacts. But yeah, that was the kind of the story behind it. And well, the kind of history repeated itself a couple of years after that when we did our, which is kind of the stories about how people eventually destroy themselves, and kind of global scale catastrophes and that sort of stuff. And we did the lyrics, and just before the release of the album, the war in Ukraine started. So that kind of got a whole new aspect to it as well. Don't know what will happen next time we are going to release the album. I don't dare think of it, because after the pandemic, I was like, this shit, it can't get any. This is kind of the low point, and what do you know? There's always new low to be found.
Your music has a very immersive atmosphere. How do you translate the deep emotional impact of your studio recordings into a live setting or live show?
Well, the main thing is that I'm not allowed to talk between the songs or anything like that. We kind of the whole we kind of have, technically it's done like we have one long kind of backing track that has all sorts of the atmospheric sounds and that sort of stuff. So when we start the gig, it's kind of one long hour track that goes on, and we play kind of over it, and well, that's kind of probably the main thing. There's no silences. There's always something going around in there, and we try to kind of look at it like it's some sort of communion, maybe kind of like, the same sort of thing that you can have in some sort of religious affair. When you look at the audience and they don't know if they should clap or not, that's kind of the place where we want to be, and it's usually, it takes no effort for us to get into the mood. Yeah, sometimes you don't remember anything about the gig. It's just like an hour dark blank spot, and something went on, but you just were so into it that you don't, it's hard to recall. Well, if everything goes right, then it's just it just goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You work with some incredible producers and engineers. How do collaborations like this help shape the final sound of your album?
A hell of a lot. They make all the difference. Live wise or album wise, we had the luck to kind of have an amazing studio producer in our town that we've known for a very long time, and it was easy to kind of start working together. And he shares our kind of vision about what the band is about, and it's a lot more than just finding sounds. It's about telling a story. Yeah, for example, when we do vocals in the studio, he always challenges me, like, what does this mean? What do you want to say with this? I don't understand this. And then we kind of I tell the story, and then we change it if kind of doesn't, what I'm trying to tell doesn't come from the text, then it should be changed. And you know, he's involved a lot in the process from kind of kind of demoing the albums. From that point on, it's a long process, and he's kind of there from the beginning when the demos are kind of like just riffs or something like that, and then we just build together. And live wise, yeah, we work with Kalki and Sami, who well, they've been all over the place with Insomnium and Omnium Gatherum and all sorts of great bands. And yeah, they know how it's done, and they kind of, when in studio, it's not just about making the sound, and live wise it's that as well. You kind of have to have their good vibe in everything what you do. There's almost every time there's some sort of difficulty, a problem that needs to be solved, and they do it. They're kind of like, if there's problem with somebody in the kind of the promoter or something like that, they are between the band and the promoter, so we kind of can focus on the performance and that sort of stuff. And that's really important to have that sort of guys that you can rely on and know that they know a hell of a lot better than you do. Kind of like those sort of guys to take look after you and make sure everything goes right.
Yeah. Your music resonates with listeners on an emotional level, like we talked about earlier. How do you feel about the connection your fans have with your music, and how important is that to the band?
It's really important. Kind of the best feedback is to have someone tell how some song has kind of helped them through some difficulty, or yeah. That I think that's the kind of the best sort of thing you can get. And there's a lot of that kind of that's usually the feedback we get. And well, I don't know if it's a paradox, but to a person who doesn't know anything about metal, he might think that, oh, this is grim and this is really kind of sad and melancholic. But it's kind of the opposite when you come to a metal show. Even if the band plays like really depressing death metal or doom metal, I think the idea most times is to kind of relieve the stress and kind of exercise the kind of the bad vibes together and kind of have a place where you can breathe a bit and have fun. And so that's really important to us too, to kind of, if we can give some breathing space to someone, though, that's awesome.
Yeah. I need to talk about some of your album artwork and the music videos. They're always like striking and deeply atmospheric. And how much of a role do visuals play in enhancing the storytelling of your music?
It's a really important part, and we try to kind of we don't want to kind of cut corners that wise. The music videos, there are mainly two kind of groups. Actually, the other group is just one person, but still we have kind of like two groups that do our music videos, and that's been like that for a long time, and we kind of we go way back. Actually, the other group consists of my brother and sister, two sisters, so we obviously go way back, and so it's easy to kind of like go over the ideas and try to find the right kind of story for a song, and to just find the right pictures as well. We sometimes, when we have the chance, we do visuals for the live shows as well, if we can have a kind of like a projector, so that it kind of, I feel for this type of music, it can bring a whole new level to have a visual kind of projection about the song as well, because kind of it's slow tempoed and there's sometimes not that much going on. It's just kind of building the atmosphere. So having a picture there can really work well. If you have more technical, faster type of metal, then I think that's not as, it might not work as well than in this type of metal. Yeah, so it's really important for us, and that's why it kind of, it takes a lot of effort to, even though I think all of us, we are not that good at, for example, drawing. Nobody of us is so we can't do the sketches for the album covers ourselves, but we have a strong visual image about what it should be. And so yeah, it's really, because it's a package. The less you have different type of kind of, this is minimalistic music, so everything should go well together. It should be a kind of strong package, because that's what kind of creates the atmosphere. If you have something that feels like out of place, then the whole thing crumbles. Yeah, it's actually pretty, it doesn't show you mercy, so to say.
The Ruins album, it's like a baby or more person that's like floating in the air in sand kind of type, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the Fata Morgana, for me, it seems like it is a hand and only shadows and this white around it.
Yeah.
And then it comes to
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh my, this was much more. You have much more elements in that album cover than the other ones.
Yeah, we tried to, I don't know, well, it kind of like we had the idea about the kind of dude cutting himself in half, and that was really important for us. So we had to the previous album covers were more minimalistic, but in this case we wanted to make this, and then we found the right person to do it. But yeah, the style is different.
Yeah.
And maybe that was kind of one of the things we wanted to try to kind of see how this sort of graphic works out. I think it worked out really well.
Yeah, it's part of the whole evolving system, like album for album. Yeah. So looking forward, where do you see the sound of Marianas Rest heading? Any hints about future projects or teams you like to share or explore?
Yeah, we are going to I don't well, yeah, it's the only word for it. I think we are maturing a bit and we of course try to remain young in the mind, but yeah, it's we are kind of growing older. That doesn't mean that we will become less metal or anything like that, but there's going to be some new elements in the next album. It's safe to say now because it's almost recorded as we speak. But and maybe we wanted to try to make an album that the songs they are more like standalone, but it's still going to be it's going to have a theme, and it's going to have all the elements that have been there, but it's still there's going to be some new stuff as well. And well, I've listened to the songs so much at this point, being in the studio, you have to kind of listen to them over and over again. I don't know if they're complete shite or if they're good. That will kind of come later, you know, if but I have the right kind of I think I have a good vibe about it, but we shall see. And of course, yeah, we are going to go on tour for a couple of weeks next month. So that's kind of one of the things I'm really looking forward to get to play in Central Europe. In Central Europe, yeah.
Cool.
We start from Germany and do a bunch of shows in Central Europe. So that's kind of cool thing, because yeah, as I said, the kind of the band jumped up a level during the pandemic, and of course the industry hasn't kind of been the same after that. So we've had a lot of difficulties to kind of to get to play outside of Finland, and actually straight up bad luck too. But well, that's how it is, and I don't want to bitch about it too much, because I know there's a lot of bands that had it much worse. We don't have kind of like a lot of money. This is not, we don't make a living doing this, is a hobby for us. But the bands that do, it was much worse. So I don't want to whine, but it's just cool to kind of get to do a proper tour outside Finland, like not supporting anyone, just go on your own with a nice folks and a good co-headlining band to go with you. So yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.